Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Debswana, also known as a Lady of Soul, and I'm visually impaired. Today on the podcast, we have a beautiful topic that we're going to be discussing on diversity and inclusion. And we are going to be shining the light into Debswana as they have strategies and policies in place to make sure that they retain the status of being world-class. Debswana measures itself against 6 key elements of diversity, which are gender, gender identity, age, family status, physical and mental ability, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, and religion. I have an esteemed panel today comprising of GIPS students, and I will help them engage with us on these elements. Let's get right into it. Our first speaker is the executive lead of DEI in Debswana. Welcome, Ms. Gifilo Mogoni.
Good day, everyone, and thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Gifilo Mogoni. I am the head of Cultural Transformation, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Debswana. A giant thank you to the GIPS team, and specifically Syndicate 1, for having elected to put a lens on Debswana and our DE&I initiatives that we hold very dear as key anchors on our strategic imperatives and our cultural transformation journey. We were established in 1969. So we are a 55-year-old entity. So we are the world's foremost diamond producer by value and volume. The subject you have chosen, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, is very critical to the pursuit of Debswana's strategic imperative.
Thank you, Gifile. And indeed, Debswana is an employer of choice. The first discussion that we're going to have in diversity and inclusion is gender. Ngele, can you tell us about gender and gender identity on the case of Debswana?
In their book, Managing Diversity in the South African Workplace, Karim and Moulman define gender equality as the equal enjoyment of rights, opportunities, responsibilities, and entitlements for both men and women. They go on to further say that equality does not mean sameness in the workplace, but that entitlement to opportunities, to roles, and to privileges in the workplace should not consider one's gender, whether they are male or female. Debswana has made strides in leveling up the workplace in their territory in Botswana mining of diamonds. We see that in terms of leadership, the involvement of women has increased from 23% in 2020 to 31% in 2024 as of July. They have a stretch target to increase this involvement by 2030 to 42%. In terms of women's employment overall in the company, the increase has been quite small, from 23% of women representation in the workplace to 24%, and a stretch target of 31% by 2030. When we look at the national statistics of Botswana, Botswana has a population of 2.67 people per statistics of 2023, and of those there is 1.35 million male and 1.35 female and 1.32 male, 51 and 49% respectively. In terms of what we could recommend, looking at the juxtaposition of the national to company statistics, we recommend that Debswana revise the stretch targets upwards towards achieving the representation of women in the workplace in line with national gender ratios. Secondly, we recommend that Debswana considers defeminizing low roles in the organization, such as cleaning, and upskill those women to occupy better position and more responsibilities within the company. Thirdly, we recommend that Debswana should measure and report on the average salary parity between men and women. This could involve an indicator such as salary per capita for women and salary per capita for men, to see where this 24% of the women are equitably, if this 24% of women are equitably paid in comparison to their male counterpart. Lastly, we recommend that the company invests more in mechanization of operations so that the masculine male-dominated roles may be demasculated and women can also move in to occupy those roles. Otherwise, at a glance, Debswana is making the right strides in the right direction. Thank you.
We're getting into the second dimension, which is age. Thembi, do you think that age is important in diversity and inclusion, and why?
Thank you. Now let's delve into the age diversity dimension of Debswana. Debswana's current staff contingent accounts for 96% adults and only 2.9% as youth. Youth is categorized as individuals between the ages of 15 and 35. The UN accounts that the youth unemployment in Botswana currently sits at 31.2%. This is where Debswana, as a mining company, can play an active role in absorbing unemployed youth. How can Debswana do this? Debswana currently is dealing with the legacy of industry experience requirements. For engineers, it is required for them to have a minimum of 4 to 5 years experience before they can be absorbed into the mining sector. This therefore pushes the youth absorption rate even further out. Recommendations of how Debswana can attract more Gen Zs into the firm. Youth internship and leadership programs can bring more Gen Zs into the company. Where and how are recruitment processes taking place can also attract young people. The use of social media, LinkedIn, and other youth-populated platforms can also draw in more youth. Participation. Ensuring broader participation that includes both younger and older staff members in policy development and strategy development. Broad youth and elderly participation in collective decision-making can also encourage morale and drive motivation amongst the elderly and youth staff contingent within Debswana. Dignity. Dignity refers to retirement policies or other age-related policies that account not only for the age as a number factor, but also ensuring that the individuals within these age groups are able to still carry out their duties with dignity and duty of care. Thank you.
Debswana also concerns itself on family status. KK, why do you think family is important in an organization?
No, thank you, Lady of Soul. I want to say Debswana has a policy on family status, which basically covers maternity, paternity, surrogacy and in vitro. This policy is in effect. Though it is gender specific, we will, as Syndicate 1, look into how we can make recommendations to Debswana to progress and advance this policy and make it better. Our recommendation as Syndicate 1 to Debswana is that family status should never ever be about gender. It should never ever be gender specific. Family status is often an area or dimension that organizations do not give a lot of prominence, to the exception of pursuing maternity and to a lesser extent paternity policy. It is a fact of life that family structure has evolved in a significant way over time. We now have single parent homes, and single parent homes no longer comprise of single mothers. There are now fathers who are running and managing homes. We have same-sex families, if we really want to go there, and we certainly also have carer responsibilities, and carer responsibility being a construct of the fact that our abilities differ, and also being a construct of the fact that we do ultimately have to look after our parents within the African context. Organizations that are progressive are mindful of those accountabilities and factor them in their decision making, such that when employees make decisions on where they move, who they work for, they are understood, and it is understood that they have primary accountabilities of looking after their parents in the bigger context of family. So maternity, paternity recognition of an evolution of a family structure, and certainly also recognition of the fact that with an aging population, carer accountabilities have become more pronounced.
The next element is quite close to me, and this element is disability. Why it is because I was not born blind. I became blind a couple of years ago, and with this, the first thing that comes to mind is, am I going to continue in life? Will I be able to? This is important why I'm stating this, because change and what has to be done to accommodate you is very important. What is being done differently in Debswana to ensure that differently abled persons? Detare, your thoughts?
Thanks everyone. Botswana as a nation is a signatory to 5 of the 9 core international human rights treaties with a focus area on disability. In the year 2019, the government of Botswana decided to put in place a national disability policy, strategy, and law. While companies integrate disability inclusion in their CSR initiatives, of which many academic scholars confirm in their researches, Debswana has taken it a notch further by including it in their business case for hiring persons with disabilities. The organization employed 18 differently abled persons in the year 2019, and as of the year 2024, the number has increased to 120. Our recommendation to the organization: as a tool of diversity management, Debswana should allocate designated human resources or management staff who are trained and knowledgeable about work-related disability issues in line with International Labour Organization law. It involves recognizing the interconnectedness of various identity factors and then striving to create a work environment that is inclusive of all employees, regardless of their unique combination of identities. Debswana should improve its disability awareness training as it helps to foster a more inclusive workplace environment. Providing mentors and a support system for new employees with disabilities should be made available to be able to guide them as they adjust to their new roles. It is crucial for reasonable accommodation to be in place before employing differently abled persons. These are our recommendations to the organization. Thank you, everyone.
The next element is got to do with a sense of belonging, and that's very important, for it has to do with race and ethnicity. Tell me, why would it be very important for institution to worry about race and ethnicity?
Thank you. Now let's focus on race, religion, and ethnic groups. Tswana is the ethnic group of the workforce in Debswana, as Debswana operates mainly in Botswana. Kalanga and Sand are the other ethnic groups in Botswana which contributes to the cultural diversity. Debswana promotes diversity in its diversity and inclusion policies when it comes to race, ethnic group, and religion. While there's fair treatment, specific details regarding race and ethnic composition of the workforce are not clearly outlined. Debswana's efforts in its programs include cultural awareness training and unconscious bias. However, Nkomo argues race should be positioned as a central concept in decision-making, especially in leadership roles. While these initiatives are commendable, the literature underscores that they should explore intersectionality at a granular level from a race and gender to shape employee experience. There are a number of strengths in the framework from a diversity inclusion when it comes to fairness across race and religion and being more intentional around the programs, with leaderships being held accountable to meet these diversity goals. Limited integration as race as a central concept in decision making, greater focus on intersectionality, and having continuous evaluation of the impact of their programs to understand systematic issues are some of the glaring gaps. Some of the recommendations that can be offered to Debswana is position race as a central factor in their strategic objectives. This implies that there will be much more intentionality enhancing decision making. To incorporate intersectionality, this means that they have to have further nuances understanding intersectionality around race, gender, and other identity factors. Olvino notes that intersectionality can help uncover hidden complexities as to how employees feel included or excluded, and this can further enhance their understanding around these dynamics. A continuous monitoring and evaluation of the programs, then that can help with further enhancing the ability around career progression, leadership representation, and pay equity. Focus on specific groups and surveys within their workforce helps them to understand unique challenges experienced particularly by the minority groups. And this can help them adjust their policies to address intersectionality challenges. Given Debswana is a multinational operation as part of the De Beers Group, it may also then further use this as an opportunity to employ individuals from other countries, adding to an additional diversity in race and ethnic group. These recommendations offer Debswana the ability to strengthen its commitment to diversity and inclusion, acting more responsive to intersecting challenges faced by its diverse workforce.
Botswana has recently joined the world in decriminalizing same-sex relationships. With this in mind, Debswana has been able to institute the final element of their DEI program, being gender identity and sexual orientation. Zinhle, perhaps share with us why you believe this is a big move for the country and an important drive for Debswana.
My name is Zinhle. My focus in these intersectionalities is to elaborate our contribution on sexual orientation. Sexual orientation in the policy of Debswana is the priority of the company to apply diversity and inclusion strategy that supports all gender and sexual orientations rights. Therefore, on an annual basis, we promote annual awareness on gender identity inclusion, focusing on supporting the LGBTQIA+. Therefore, in commemoration of Pride Day, we display flags in our buildings to indicate our support and unity. This is a sign that our company is diverse and not discriminating on gender identity, preferences, and sexual orientation. Sexual orientation is our corporate culture. We walk the talk. Debswana's value to diversity and inclusion and support zero tolerance on gender discrimination. Diversity being our core strength, it boosts employees' morale and productivity. It drives innovation and reduces the risk of discrimination and harassment. Debswana's commitment to ensure that all people, regardless of their sexual orientation, can flourish positively in the organization. We therefore promote equality and prevent unfair discrimination on basis of sexuality. We educate Debswana's community, both internal and external, to assist them in choosing appropriate terminology regarding sexual orientation. The policy also outlines the applicable complaint procedures, support available to victims and witnesses of discrimination based on sexuality. We aim to be the leading company that is 100% diversity, equity, and inclusion with no discrimination to any gender preferences.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you have a beautiful day.
Report the easer, so we got some down. Represent straight a Livingston, young milk Charles. Like never. Forget for my neighbor. Yeah, be brave from the is now good. Yeah, damn. You be brave for it's right now. So, go follow me. Take you to Dubai. Go follow me. One money and a